Welcome to the Shifting Realities podcast. I'm your host, Julie Allison, and with me is my co-host and friend, Robert Perry.
Hi there, Julie.
Hi, Rob. So, in today's podcast, we're going to talk about something else that we've noticed going on in the spiritual community, let's say, that's still allowing us to stop standing in our own power. It's giving our power away, and that's that we're just being so distracted and we're using deflection to look at what's going on in the royal family, to look at what's going on with celebrities. This is why the earth is still a bit of a mess, let's call it, still in a bit of chaos, and we're wondering why it's in chaos. But it really is because we're not doing the work. There's not enough of us doing the inner work. So for us, what Rob and I want to share with you and want to keep telling you is the way that you can transform your own life and the earth is to do the inner work yourself. And for anybody who still doesn't know what that is to actually do all the work to clear, to make yourself as pure as possible. So we're clearing, we're eating healthier, we're really looking at all that, perhaps we call it shadow work, inner child work, past life regression work, to look at what's going on, to clear anything, to change your beliefs, change your behaviors. But what tends to happen here, we see, is that because we're human, and so nothing wrong with that, and we have to live in this 3D earth at the moment, we tend to like safety. And the ego loves to keep us safe, and the mind will be logical in what it tells us to keep us safe. But what happens there is we either procrastinate because we don't know what to do to, let's say, ascend, or what to do to help our lives be a bit better. But instead of that, the inner work allows yourself to be empower the ego more, to understanding that to be safe, you don't have to be in this comfort zone, even if the comfort zone isn't the greatest of comfort zones. We all say we're creatures of habit, don't we, Rob? And we end up just saying, I'll do this tomorrow. Yeah, I want to ascend, but you know what? I haven't got time now, so that's a greatest spell. I haven't got time. I'll do something tomorrow instead of actually starting right now. So let's ask you the question out there. If you've not started doing the inner work, why not? What's the reason? What's the reason you've not started your inner work? You could start right now. Listen to our podcast first and then start afterwards.
Yeah,
But there's nothing to stop you. We've said before, you do not have to do the inner work by sitting and meditating. It does help to sit in the silence, but you could go for a walk and be silent, because the nature out there, the earth's wonderful natural resources help us to raise our vibration, raise our frequency, and help us have a consciousness that raises above what we just see in 3D. It helps us to go sort of in the outer realms, in a higher dimension. So we're looking at things from a higher perspective, a higher consciousness perspective. That's how we need to be starting to navigate this 3D earth, is to navigate it from a different perspective. So Rob and I have done lots and lots of work ourselves, so we can see things from an observer point of view. So we see a lot. Again, we'll just concentrate on the spiritual community. Obviously, the news is the same, but we do know a lot of listeners have probably stopped listening to the news. But we're looking, people are constantly looking out there to get help, and we understand that. That's why we're here, because I've got help from other people. Rob was a client of mine a couple of years ago. We want the help, but I feel like if I said we're going to the wrong people, because we haven't done the start of the work, and that's been discerning. We haven't thought for ourselves, is this person helping me when I watch a YouTube video, watch an Instagram post? Is this person actually helping me to ascend, helping me do the inner work, helping me to be more sovereign, helping me to understand, let's say, the I am statement, you know, the I am God, the I am sovereign, the I am empowered, all of that, to help you really create what you want to create? Or is that person just saying a load of garbage to actually deflect, to actually help you deflect from the situation? So you're just watching loads of videos on, I don't know, what's happening to all the royal family and all of their problems and whatever. I'll pass it over to you, Rob, to
Thank you,
see,
Julie.
for your piece.
Indeed. It's really, really hard. We're saying to people, get your inside work done and get your own ascension going. And that's great, but it is quite difficult until you're on
Yeah,
the path to actually
yeah,
get the discipline. I don't think we've used the word discipline either
no,
much or at all in these podcasts, but it is
mm,
disciplined work.
it
If you
is.
don't self-discipline yourself to do it, it doesn't happen. It's
Mm,
fine to sit down and say, right, now I'm going to do some inner work, and then perhaps the phone rings.
mm, mm,
Or you sit down to do some inner work and you think, I meant to turn the garden hose off, or whatever it might
yeah,
be. These little distractions that come in, and they come in intentionally, they're challenges. You have to be
yeah.
able to see through them and hear through them, listen through them, perhaps is the best way of saying it. And that goes, on the larger sense, you're looking for answers and solutions. So you hop on to social media, which of course
Mm,
is in the history of humankind a relatively new thing. And you are bombarded by people, including us, offering you all sorts of solutions.
mm,
And it's only when you're on your journey and you can discern that you can actually pick the right voices to allow in. So, this is as old as the hills, Julie. People have been selling snake oil since time began. Honestly, quacks
wow.
have toured rural communities selling fake cures
Mm,
to
mm,
unsuspecting people who don't know better, who
mm,
are clutching at a solution and so spend money they don't have on something that won't work because they've been gulled into believing it. And it won't take you long on YouTube to be offered all sorts of lovely products that will boost your spiritual connection within moments. And I would honestly urge anybody at this point that if someone's asking you to part with your money for a product that's going to help you ascend, just hold on before you press buy and just have a think, please. Because the only way you can ascend is by getting right back within yourself and doing your own work, listening to the right voices, listening to your own voice first and foremost, and discerning your way forward. A distraction it's very, very easy. And let's not go into the dark matrix and other realities that we deal with about where manipulation comes from. But
mm,
manipulation is out there by the spadeful. In fact, there's probably more of it out there than there is truth. So it's really, really key that you trust yourself. And let's not forget this series is overarchingly about working with guides. Your guides will show you the way. They will show you what's true. They will show you what is not true, but you have to trust them. You have to get yourself to a level where you know which guides you're talking to. So do the work, do the work, and do the work over. I can't say it enough. If you don't do the work, nothing's going to happen.
mm. Yeah, nothing's
Yeah.
going to change, is it?
No.
It's not going to change until you change. And nobody's, we've said this before, there's no savior apart from yourself. Nobody else out there is actually going to save you. People like me and Rob, in the spiritual world, we're here to facilitate, to help you, to mentor you in all the ways as much as we know as the truth. We don't have it all sussed out. I'd say every week, I learn more and more and more, but that's because every week there's still some inner work to do. There's still some clearing to do. If I don't even think there's any clearing myself, because my ego says, oh, I'm not going to bother this week, something comes up in the 3D. There's some chaos, something will make me angry now. I'm getting to that stage where things are making me angry. But that's a sign. That's how I know, I'm not angry and going, why is this happening to me? Because Rob and I have done this, done so much work, we can now tell, we can discern for ourselves that, oh, this is exciting. Something else in the 3D is coming up for me. This is how my guides are communicating to me. If I'm asking for evidence in the 3D, it does come to, come in the face, come to bite us in the face. And we can see we can actually use our discernment because we've practiced and practiced. We've been doing it for a few years now. So again, we're not saying anything is a quick fix about connecting with your guides. Or ascending. It could potentially be a long process, but there's nothing to stop you watching any video. We constantly say to you, don't take our word for it. You have to take your own word. Don't just watch somebody else and say, well, they said this and they said that. What is it you feel inside? So this is where you can sit within. This is one of the first things you can do in terms of connecting with soul, with higher self. When we talk about guides, one of the first thing to do is not try and look at guides, that the external guides or your soul guides. Talk to your own soul. Stop talking to your ego. You know that you can do this. You know that you're psychic because you're constantly talking to your ego and mind. So there's nobody that can say I can't do this. That's just another spell. So first of all, just work with sitting, whether that's sitting you could be sitting in the house, you could be doing dishes, you could be just sitting in the garden, sitting in a park. You don't have to even close your eyes. So we're not talking about this on meditation or anything like that, crossing legs or anything. But when you just sit and start to feel from your heart, so stop thinking just from your head. That's where your monkey mind is. That's even where really your ego can reside in terms of how we're thinking about things. But just focus on your heart. What is it your heart is telling you when you're listening and watching to our podcast, or you're listening and watching to somebody else talking about a celebrity or the royal family and what's going on around there? Which part is it that's helping you help you change your life? Which part is it that's helping you to empower yourself and therefore empower your life? And don't forget this part that we said, when you change yourself, when you start healing yourself, doing the inner work to make yourself more pure, is all that this is happening, is to help you connect with the guides even more and more by getting rid of all the darker side of yourself, all the shadow work, if you want to call it that. That is all that you need to do to, if you want to know what your purpose is. We've said about this before, it can be different things, but ultimately all of our purpose is to move away from the polarity that we all created probably thousands and thousands of years ago. So go within, go to heart space. What is it your heart is telling you? And that's your intuition as well. You could say it's in your solar plexus, but just for, it's gut intuition, but where's your heart and gut? Very, very close. But it drops you, when you feel your heart, it drops you out of that headspace of, I don't know what to do, what's going on. That's just your ego and the monkey mind telling you. It's not going into your super conscious. The super conscious can start off with your heart space. Again, I'll say it again, we have a meditation to go to heart space. Do that first thing to allow you to make the first start if you've not started any of this inner work. And if you have started the inner work, just continue. It's not something that you do for 6 weeks and then you never have to do again. This is something like cleaning your teeth. You have to do something, even if it's just a few minutes every day, just to tune in with yourself. Because don't forget, if you're going out to work, going outside somewhere, for instance, or even just do it, Rob and I work from home, for instance, going about your daily business, you're not just doing 2 minutes a day and then going about the rest of your day in the normal 3D. This helps you to go in the rest of the day as the neutral observer with discernment, because you will start to really feel in what feels the right thing for you, what feels the truth for you, or what feels not so truth. And you start to get where you can, instead of having overwhelm of what information you can get to help you, you'll start to understand it yourself, and you start to make it more simple for yourself. Rob and I have continually said, just make things very simple.
Indeed. Simple, simple, simple. It's really important that people start this process for so many reasons. But right now, the world is so polarized. And we're all being torn in two directions. Families are being torn apart. Relationships are being torn apart by different political convictions or different social convictions. It's really, really key that you find your own truth and you move forward in your own truth. And you don't allow yourself to be pulled left or right into these arguments and the chaos that's around us now. It's particularly bad at the minute. We have wars that we never thought we'd see. We have political parties imploding or going extreme all over the place. And, it's really quite a worrying time to be a little human 3D person. So you can get through this. You can find your own way through this by just being still and listening and doing the work. So just as we've always said, and always will say till we're blue in the face, there is an ascension path through this. Many of us are on it, and we'd love everybody to be on it, because that's the goal. But never mind everybody right now. Think about yourself and focus on yourself. Because if you can get yourself up into some kind of ascension pathway, people will follow you.
Yes.
It's just the way it is. Your vibration will attract other people who will follow your pathway, and you will also find people who are ahead of you who will pull you up.
Yes.
So it's a terrific community when you find the right community. So don't give up. And ultimately, it's your discernment. So listen to yourself.
Yeah. And Rob said that key word, don't give up. People
Never.
will maybe meditate, oh, I'll do this now, and I'll just do this the once, or just do this a couple of times. And then you feel like nothing's happening. But what's happening is the chaos might end up being more chaos just because it has to be chaos for it to drop away. It might be that you lose a relationship, might be a friend, everything. You'll think it's the worst thing in the world. But in actual fact, that's what needs to happen for you to grow. It's not just, we say about the inner work, when you've done the inner work, all the external things will match your frequency. So you'll bring in new, as Rob said, new communities. You'll find, your guides will be able to point you in the direction of new social media channels. The guides will be able to show you what your next steps are. They might not whisper to you. In fact, the whispering is sometimes more ego and mind, but the guides that we connect with, it's quite funny that you can see the way they communicate in 3D is just by what sometimes feels like things feel like they're going wrong. And we just got to know that that's just it'll just wipe away. So it might be an argument with somebody, but that argument may have been needed to either resolve in some way. It might be resolved so you end up with a better relationship, or it might be that you need to part ways, or whatever. It could be relationship, it could be a job, even the money side of things. I think it's very few and far between that somebody kind of just has money drop into the field. I mean, I've had this part, I think, this before, where suddenly some money drops in. But when I've thought about it, there's a lot of things gone on in the months before. There's some actions are taken and things for it to drop in. So again, there might even be a kind of a lull moment, but do not give up. This is not this quick fix. Rob and I don't give you anything to say, just have this quick product, this quick thing that will help everything. Because again, it's just something that deflects you, that you think, you're going to have that, whatever, the magic pill that will help you. And don't get me wrong, there are things that will help to whatever, increase your vibration, like using it. One of the other things, yes, is using crystals will help you, but the crystals aren't going to do the work. You can't look at the crystal and say, heal me. You've still got to really, do the work. And when we say this, you will feel so much different. All I can describe it is as a, wonderful feeling when you get there, wonderful feeling when you get with consciousness, a wonderful feeling when you connect with your soul, your higher self, ultimately with working with source. It just feels to you the truth and how wonderful it is. But you've got to do that work to get there. It's not going to be this 2-minute job. I don't know. I mean, maybe one day in the future it will. And of course, there'll be a lot of people out there that will have experienced it for so many minutes and then maybe can't get back to that again. But that's just because, and then you give up. But just don't give up. Don't ever, ever give up with this. There's now a lot, we're saying we still feel a bit of a minority, but actually there's more and more people as we grow and expand. The contracting as the chords and contracts mean we will find each other. Rob and I have found, many people as we've been interviewing people for the podcast, this is what happens. You take a bit of action and you meet other people along the way that really are in the same, kind of in the same scope of community, doing the same. If I said doing the same work, doing the ascension work, it might be in totally, a different way in what we would see in 3D. But there's just so many people now just trying to help you in the right way. So just, to finish this off, just keep discerning, go drop to heart and feel whether this is right or wrong. Don't rely on somebody else to tell you which is right and which is wrong.
Indeed. And when you do sit down to do this work and it doesn't connect and you get frustrated, just stop overthinking. It's your mind on hyper trying to find a solution for you because you're seeking one. So your mind goes, well, better find one. Just go back from the brain down to the heart and listen from there. And it might seem strange to a lot of people who think, all your critical faculties are in your brain. There's increasing proof that your heart thinks as much as your brain thinks. So I like to think that you have perhaps more than one brain, and one of them is your heart. Otherwise, we wouldn't say things like heartbroken. That wouldn't be in a vocabulary if our heart did not have emotional power and resonance. So stop overthinking. I often, if I can't connect, I just put my hand over my heart. Yes. That tiny connection makes me go, oh, there it is.
Yes.
That's where
absolutely.
home is.
Agree.
And it just pulls me back in. And if it doesn't work for you right then, stop, go and do something else and come back later and do it. It's a process and it doesn't always just slot in the way you want it to slot in. Keep working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's lovely, Rob, isn't it? Yeah. Just that's all we can, it's all we can tell you to do. Just you decide for yourself who it is you're going to watch, who it is you're going to learn from.
Yeah. And trust yourself.
Yes, trust yourself. Yeah, that's a big word. Trust yourself. It comes from a place of love. We've said on previous podcasts, never feel the fear about what we're saying. You can go and watch a video or something on the royal family. If you just think, oh, I've got 5 minutes to spare, I'll just see what happens. But just don't make that a deflection from what you're doing. So we're not saying don't go and watch these things, but just take it with caution, because why would you really need to know to that depth what's going on with another family?
Take a week off, perhaps.
Yeah,
if that's your fix.
Yeah,
just
that's
get away from it for a while.
Yeah, make your fix. Going for a walk. That so much better for your own energy. Right. Yes, on that note, hope you've enjoyed this recording, this podcast, this video on YouTube. If you do want any more from us, if you want any, us to cover any other topics or say how how we've learned things in the past and how what we're doing now, or if you want us to help you in any way, Rob and I work one-to-one, and I've got membership and we're looking at courses, please get in touch with us. Lovely. So on that note, bye for now.
Bye, everyone.